Gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. That being so stated, on to the job at hand. Please take note, listen carefully. To begin...
Every one of these executives flew to this important business meeting on a different airline, sampling various meals, beverages, onboard services, and other amenities. Can you find the one executive that flew here on Alaska Airlines?
Plus 65. Divide the whole quantity.
Joe Bartosik spent the day in Wasilla talking to people who've been forced to endure these strong winds.
I'm meteorologist Joe Bartosik in Wasilla, where when you drive into town, you can clearly see there's been a lot of wind damage. Everything from wind-whipped flags to large metal objects like the sign that have been just blown over by 80 to 90 mile an hour winds throughout the region today. We went over to the Fred Meyers here in town and we talked to some residents and their experiences about being in the bitter cold with these strong winds and without power. Day 3 of high winds and conditions haven't really improved where people can really begin to clean up, so damage is noticeable and pretty much everywhere. From buildings with the facades peeled away, signs blown out, blown down, or blown away completely. Pulling into Fred Meyers today, crews out laying sandbags to secure cart returns. People here, happy to find a warm place that was open, told us of their experience this weekend.
Right next to my deck, I had a 40-foot tree. We heard a loud crack last night. And that came crashing down, luckily not toward the house, but toward our septic field, and we lucked out it didn't hit the vent pipes or anything. So it's pretty wild.
Was making that rattle and shake, and of course things were beating against the house in the wind that usually don't beat against the house. It was a little bit scary for everybody.
The burst of wind actually sounds like a freight train at night, so it's a little creepy, but we're making it.
Any trees down, power lines down, anything?
Yeah, outside of Palmer, there's a bunch of trees that are down, mainly, and a lot of snow drifts across the road and stuff. It's going to take a lot of time for the road crew to get the roads cleared out.
Because of the bitter cold and that so many people are without power, the Red Cross is here to lend a helping hand.
Well, we wanted to open up the shelter here at the Menard Center so that people who are suffering from the power outage have some place to come where they can get warm. They can recharge their computer, they have snacks, they have coffee, and it's just a good place to have a timeout.
And they'll be here as long as necessary, and that's a good thing because high wind warnings have been extended through Wednesday. In Wasilla, I'm meteorologist Joe Bartosik, Alaska's news source.
And for those that need that assistance right now, the Red Cross of Alaska has a warming shelter currently set up at the Palmer Junior Middle School for residents, again, who just need to get warm, need to get some power. And again, the good news is that the winds are already starting to slow down, but we're not out of the woods just yet. We still have that potential for wind gusts of hurricane strength. Lauren Maxwell has more on why that could be a bigger problem for people without power.
Well, the situation here could turn dire very quickly as temperatures drop and these high winds continue. There's a very real concern for people without heat.
On Monday morning, nearly 16,000 Matanuska Electric Association customers were still without power, some of them since Saturday. MEA says it may take until the end of the week before all of them are back online.
Our priorities as far as responding to outages is we are responding to the larger and largest ones first, and then trying to work our way down to the 100 or so person outages.
People have been instructed to ride out the storm by sheltering in place. But with temperatures expected to drop and wind chills that could dip to near 35 below, the borough manager says some people would be safer to seek shelter sooner rather than later.
With the wind chill and with just the continued winds over the next several days, we would definitely encourage folks not to stay too long in their homes if they're without power and it's getting to that point where they can't maintain an adequate temperature.
Now, one other thing to know, there is no school in the Mat-Su borough on Tuesday. The superintendent says they're worried about getting students to school safely. He says they will reevaluate the situation at noon on Tuesday to decide whether those closures should continue. For Alaska's news source, I'm Lauren Maxwell.